Please welcome to the stage Will Lentz.
Hi everybody, my name is Will, and I'm here to talk to you about eating together, my explorations of an antisocial food system. In my work, I explore two types of tools, physical and digital as they apply to food experiences, towards the end of creating more social interactions at intersections where I see opportunities for intervention. Now, this is where my exploration started, with the first weird thing I saw when I moved to New York City, an ad campaign for Seamless. For those of you who don't know, Seamless is it's a food delivery service, a digital platform that allows you to have food delivered to your door without ever talking to another human being. I mean, how great is that? A world that encourages people to avoid one of the only things they need to do to keep themselves alive, literally. Good grief, guys. I shrugged this off as niche for busy people, but then I started to see the signs. They were everywhere, and Seamless was everywhere. Avoid cooking. Avoid waiting. Avoid Jersey and cooking. And above all things, avoid people. And though it may be the most brash, Seamless isn't alone. It's a part of a list of services and products that foster avoidance behavior. Some unintentionally, but isolating and antisocial behaviors are still part of their product. And it's a growing problem too, with over 60% of Americans regularly eating meals in solitude today. This is partly a response to a growth in urban obsession with convenience and independence. A long time coming as part of an antisocial shift in American culture in general. But despite this collapse, I think that food experiences still remain an opportunity for social growth and development. Through a series of products and provocations aimed at embedding social eating back in the American lifestyle, eating together functions as advocacy for the resurgence of social food systems. Advocacy for the resurgence of commensality. Commensality, which literally means eating at the same table, is focused on creating and reinforcing social relationships. Now, when it comes to food and commensality, the physical disruption of digital technology, like smartphones, has been the most concerning thing at the table up to today. As part of his PhD research, Hassan Shahid Fardoux has written extensively on the effects of computer-human interaction at mealtime, and he's often recognized for his contributions to interaction design around the dinner table. But while his work is exposing many opportunities, there's a problem in confining the threat digital tools pose at the dinner table to the dinner table. For Fardoux and many of his contemporaries, the problem space lies here, where digital technologies are troublesome as physical tools. However, of greater concern to me, and potentially the highest threat to our daily commensal activities, is at a different intersection, where the digital content of the device is catching people before they ever get to the table together. The specific problem was made evident to me when my classmates picked up a product on that previous list called MealPal. MealPal is the pickup-only version of Seamless. With MealPal, users get to decide what they're eating, where, and when. But the kicker is they have to do it the night before. And I watched this particular feature tear apart my department's lunch routine. Negotiating lunchtime together turned into this. And eating together turned into this, when everyone started making lunch decisions independently. It dismantled some of our most valuable commensal time. This case study made it clear how easily digital food services could create a dramatic habit shift that takes over before we ever get to the dinner table. So naturally, I decided to counter these socially damaging digital services with another digital service. And yeah, it's laughable, but there's good work to be done here. Our digital tools are an extension of our social selves. They're already ingrained in our behaviors, and there's an opportunity to leverage that. Inspired by products like Couchsurfing and Meetup, I envisioned a digital service for food services to instigate more intentional interactions. And that service is Tables, a platform for community building around home-cooked meals. Tables users are split into hosts and guests. Hosts have a table they'd like to share with others and a topic they're passionate about using to bring people together. They post their table in a form of an event in time, and guests can RSVP based on their own interests. In early user testing on paper, I determined that most will spend their time between table events and people's profiles, and focused on who they'll be sharing a meal with. The meal itself is just a facilitator. With that in mind, the experience of Tables focuses on social capital. As you can see in the latest prototype, every step is built around host and guest relationships and their identities. And every host or guest is connected to a set of references and reviews through other social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, or Google+. And this lowers the barrier to entry and maintains security through existing forms of identity verification and vouching. With Tables, food experiences become a facility for social community growth and a resurgence in social capital. This is in part an attempt to build more frequently occurring commensal circles. By focusing on a particular subject, a table might connect people from disparate groups who would not otherwise eat together. The power of hospitality in this way is evident in the roots of American history. Dolly Madison, for example, is credited with bridging social gaps in early American politics through her famed hospitality as First Lady. She would host weekly dinner parties and events that built a social capital transcendent of political competition. The value of her hospitality as a community builder is something I sought to integrate in everyday experiences. So I started to look at one of the ways we carry our food experiences with us, the traditional lunchbox. As children, a packed lunchbox is representative of the hospitality and commensality between parent and child. But as we grow older, it becomes something independent and easily isolated. I wanted to take this lunchbox and transform it into something that fosters a regular shared experience of hospitality. I identified the picnic basket as the next best alternative to my possible solution and worked on a continuum between that and the personal lunchbox, deciding that the ideal number of users would be just 2 in order to leverage the existing concept of the buddy system. On the buddy system, I built Lunch Shift, a lunchbox built for 2. 2 people share a lunch shift. One prepares lunch for both, with a serving in each box, brings it in for lunch with their colleague or friend. The 2 eat together. The friend takes the lunch shift at the end of the day and reciprocates the hospitable act the next. Lunch shift is meant to feel like there are 2 parts at all times, using the dovetail joint as an affordance for connection and union, even when there's only one half there. And if the 2 should eat separately, that affordance will always be there as a reminder of that buddy system. Not to mention the meal they're eating was either prepared by or for someone else. The hospitable intent is still there, even if the eating is done separately. I often reconsidered the intended use of this object, and in the end, this product actually leaves a good bit of room for the user to act with their own intent, despite my original goals. In truth, it was challenging to eliminate that feature and still maintain some of the natural functionality of the lunchbox. And this issue resonated with work I pursued through Thomas Wendt's discussion of Heidegger's phenomenological studies. Wendt addresses the ability of the user to define the function of an object by their intent, not its passive intended use. For example, somebody could use a baseball bat to eat cereal, and though it doesn't function well for that purpose, it'd still define the bat as a cereal eating device. Early on, I used this example to explore how the bat might act back on the user during the breakfast experience, changing it for them. And this got me thinking a lot about how the capability of objects to revalue an eating experience. And from that, I devised Collaborating. Collaborating is a social dining experiment that uses physical objects and interactions to augment the social bonding that takes place during a family-style dinner. I imagined a cozy festivity that leverages a common element of more intimate experience design, a circle of trust in which everyday rules can be changed or broken. With that circle, I introduced objects that morphed the traditional relationships between server and eater, starting with balance. Playing on traditional plate passing at a family table, balance never allows you to put down your serving dish. It'll fall if you let it go. And then there's lift, challenging guests to trust each other with another tippy situation. Lift uses a set of rails to give control of a guest's drinking cup to their neighbor. The third movement is Extend. A pie server with 2 widespread handles, Extend also plays on the server-guest relationship, distancing it to demand a higher level of coordination. Here's what happened when they came together. I could mark this experience successful simply based on the level of participation with the objects. But there's more to it than that. The willingness of participants to take the rules I gave them and push them even further was evidence that unique object experiences are certainly capable of amplifying commensality. With that in mind, I wanted to give my guests an opportunity to reach out and engage others in commensal time on their own. So I made an object that could function as a gesture, an invitation to collaborate out in the world. The collaborating spoon, which each guest could take with them to share with a friend. I want to give you all that same opportunity. I've got more spoons here to share with you during the break, and so I'll leave you with this as a kind of call to action. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. I especially want to thank my family for making this all possible in every way. Thank you. Before this, Alan and I actually broke spoons, and I locked him into an agreement to have a drink with me. We're going to go through Lyft. He's been wanting to help me user test for some time now, and we're going to do it live on stage.
Better move all electronics out of the way. I did not know the word. Oh, thanks. Sure. And it's communal. Pass it around. I did not know the word commensality.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing for me. I have not found it a lot in American cultures. Most of the research that I found comes from European cultures, and a lot of the work, the book that I mentioned in my work, the quote is from a collection of anthropological works. So it's fairly new to design. Hopefully this is some of the newest. But it seems to not be an American concept, which is why I wanted to reintroduce it into American food culture.
Yeah, the fact that it's even a word at all is kind of amazing, or the requirement for the word. You had a life before graduate design school?
Yeah, so my background is in craft and fine art. No specifics. I was a generalist through and through, woodworking, ceramics, metal fabrication.
And you found ways to get those hand skills into that point of view really into your work this year.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things that I wanted to do with this thesis work is take the making of physical objects and use it to instigate behavior change, and use physical objects to create new relationships between people, and not just for everyday use, for something that was more valuable. And food provided a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, and it looked like people had a great time. One thing about your app, so the idea is that they're issue-based. So shrimp and crits are people getting together and critiquing each other.
Yeah.
Which I guess
absolutely.
is what people do normally. So
Yeah.
maybe not just designers. What were some of the others that went by so fast?
There was Spaghetti and Spaceballs, which was a viewing of the film Spaceballs. I'm trying to think of...
Very political.
Right. Gosh, I can't even remember.
Well, let's throw
Those
it
are
out to
two
the
bookends.
audience. Do you have a suggestion for one of these
What would you host?
Yeah. You can do it.
Guess this app's going to be a flop.
Sorry?
Oh, that's good. Mystery Science Eater 3000. For those
All right, so that's the bar. Anybody want to challenge that? Oh, it even gets applause.
Yeah.
One more?
Oh, that's good. Carlo Marx and the Ice Cream Socialists.
Okay.
Well played.
Yeah.
I think we can end on that note. That's
that would be
pretty
tough.
solid.
There was one other thing. Oh, those seamless ads. I found them profoundly offensive. And when you first showed them, I guess a month ago, I said, oh, if you need pictures of those seamless ads, I took a bunch from my phone because I was so unbelievably offended by them. And he's like, no, I got it. So I don't know who else was in the subway at the time, but this was like a low point for human culture.
Yeah, well, it still is. They run the L train every now and then. They're everywhere.
Yeah. All right, maybe a little civil disobedience. Maybe we need one of Julia's bags with a little message in it.
Absolutely.
All right. We have a collaborative project next. Thank you so much. Commensality. That's a word.
Thanks, guys.